You got a lot of energy. It's good to see everybody. I'm really excited about tonight. That video that we play right before we get started, if there was ever a time where it had significance, it was right now. Really talking about our Mother Earth and how we have a duty and a responsibility to take care of her. I've just come from speaking to one of the clubs in Grand Bahama, within the Bahamas. And in the Bahamas, if there's one island that continues to get hit whenever we have major storms and get devastation, is Grand Bahama. And it just reminded me going into this presentation how, you know, we as Caribbean folk have seen the devastation of what our world is going through, because in many instances, we just have not taken care of her. And so a concentration, a focus on the environment is something that I put pregnant in front of my clubs this year. We have determined that two core focus that we will have for major projects for our clubs to engage in will be on the environment. And the second one is partnering with the District 7030 as they talk about childhood obesity prevention. And so these are going to be two important things that we talk about as we come more and closer to the end of our PEPS training for 7020. I've left these two signature presentations for you to understand that these need to be part and parcel of some of the planning that you're going to do for this year. And so I'm excited of what's going to happen. Barry, you talked about Corinne. There's probably nobody more excited, more engaged about the environment than Corinne. And I had to thank her because she made sure that I have my own cup that I will take with me whenever I travel, so I don't get a styrofoam cup from the stewardess. And so I have my own cup so that I can help again with protecting our environment and not have those styrofoam cups. So I want to thank her for that. But more importantly, I want to thank her and the speakers who are going to come, who are going to remind us that here are opportunities for us to take care of our planet. Thank you so much, and I trust that you all will enjoy the session.
Thank you, Charles. So our first speaker up, as you heard, is Corinne Van Rentschler. She's a 29-year member, which means she must have joined her Rotary Club of St. Thomas East the same year I was district governor. So I don't know if you got in before me or after me, but that's exactly when I was there in 1991. And her club is known as the Little Club That Does. And they did. I remember all those years ago, I still remember being there. We'll talk about that later, though. That's a comedy. Corinne will serve again as president. She's been president of her club, but she's going to serve again this upcoming year because she wants to solidify the environmental sustainability commitment that the club has made, which they've gone so far as to change the name of their club. And Rotary International has approved the name change and come back and approved St. Thomas East Eco. So they're the environmental club. That's excellent. Corinne is also chair of the District Environmental Sustainability Team for District 7020. She's a member of the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. And get familiar with that term, the SRAG, because we should all be members of the SRAG. The Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group is working to help Rotary to understand the environment around the world, not just within district to district. And they're doing a really good job with that. She's also a member of the Water and Sanitation RAG and the Rotary Action Group for Peace. She's a member of the Paul Harris Society and an enthusiastic advocate for the Rotary Foundation, which we all should be. That's our foundation. So always remember that. She's a passionate supporter of planetary health, and Corinne is delighted to share this first ever environmental sustainability session at PETS for District 7020 and 7030, which will address the climate crisis and gives incoming leaders a chance to develop a platform for change and to help create solutions in their own communities across the globe and within themselves. That sounds familiar. So please welcome Corinne as our first speaker tonight.
Thank you so much, Barry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. What a treat it is to be here, and I'm going to take up very little time because we have some great presentations in front of us. But I just wanted to welcome you to this very first ever District Environmental Sustainability Team presentation to PETS. My team consists of Doug White from the Rotary Club of St. Thomas East Eco, Natasha Parchment-Clark from the Rotary Club of Montego Bay, and Michael Terlong from the Rotary Club of Spanish Town in Jamaica. So this is the four who have helped put this session together, along with Kendrick, one of the co-founders of SRAG, who you'll be hearing from shortly, who has done a phenomenal job, and I give her great kudos. So this is an opportunity for you to embrace changes in habits, to learn and adopt new ideas, to partner with new groups, to see what other clubs are doing in other islands and replicate what they're doing, because there's a lot of great work going on throughout our district in the environment already that we should be proud of. But as Rotarians, we just get on and do it. We don't tend to do it with a lot of fanfare and feedback. So we're going to be looking for more feedback this year so we can share the wonderful work that you're doing. So I think the other thing we need to do is connect the dots between our action here, wherever we are sitting at home, and the ramifications of our actions on the far side of the world. And I think this is one of the things about working towards planetary health. We will realize that Mother Earth is supporting all of us, and we all need to support her. So without further ado, I just want to welcome you here this evening and say thank you for coming, and turn you back to Barry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Corinne. Really appreciate what you're doing to help us. And right now we're going to see a movie, not a movie, a speech that was made. I'm just trying to find it here. This is, sorry, give me a moment here. I have too much on my website, so hold on while I get rid of some of this stuff. And I can open up and find what I'm looking for. I was outnumbered to actually show you this. They felt I should show it to you, and of course now I can't find the. Here we go. Okay, we're going to try this again here. All right. And here we go. We're going to, bear with me, please. This is a challenge.
No volume.
Shoot. Hold on 1 second. We're going to go back and start that over again. Yeah, I know.
This will be the end of one disease, but a new chapter in Rotary. A chapter where sustainability is front and center. Sustainability has become the watchword of Rotary because we want the good to last. We want our world to be better, not just here, not just for us, for everyone, for generations.
Okay now?
If we really mean that, if we really care about what the world looks like in 10, 20, 50, 100 years, then we have to take the difficulties in our world and the realities in our world seriously. Pollution, environmental degradation, and climate change have had serious impact on our 6 areas of focus. Environmental pollution has been responsible for 1.7 million child deaths every year. 4 billion people have water scarcity at least 1 month out of every year. And that'll just get worse as the world gets warmer. I live in a country where 80% of our land is within 1 meter of sea level. It's projected that by the year 2100, the sea level will rise by 2 meters. That means my country will be gone in 50 years. That means countries in the Caribbean and coastal areas around the world will be gone in 50 years. So I'm asking you to be the inspiration to move Rotary from reaction to action, to take a hard look at the environmental issues that affect our health and our welfare, to do what we can to make a difference. Sustainable service means looking at everything as part of a larger system, as part of a larger global ecology. It means helping to build stronger and more resilient communities. It means doing everything that we can to make sure that the good we do now is leading to better lives tomorrow and beyond. So I'm asking you to be the inspiration in your clubs, in your districts, to show them what we can do, what we can be. To be the inspiration to your countries, to your communities, by coming together, taking action to create lasting change. I'm asking you to be the inspiration because together we will inspire the world. And I thank you for everything you're going to do to make our world a better place next year. Thank you.
Like I said, I was outnumbered. I would not normally show myself doing a speech, but they won. But you know, it's important to talk about the reality of our world and where we live. Our next speaker, we're really fortunate to have with us tonight, Kendrick co-founded the Environmental Sustainability Rotarian Action Group, the SRAG, because she could combine her passion for Rotary service and mitigating the climate crisis, and because Rotary needed a place for like-minded Rotarians to collaborate. She believes that the ultimate service above self is ensuring a stable climate for future generations. Karen is an attorney. She's been a volunteer public interest advocate for cleaner air, mobility, and transportation choices, including serving on various local, state, and regional advisory bodies for the last 30 years in the United States. She's founded advocacy groups and assisted non-environmental community and service organizations, including Junior League and the League of Women Voters, to frame and adopt environmental policies. Karen's blessed to have been a Rotary Youth Exchange student in I won't give the date, that might give something away, so I'm gonna skip the date. But she was a Rotary Youth Exchange, so she was one of us way back then, and she went to Australia. She's past chair of the Communications Direction of SRAG, co-founder and member of the Rotary Club of Madison, Wisconsin, and Going Green Fellowship Group in District 6250. She is an extraordinary help in making sure that Rotary is going in the right direction with the environment. So I would ask you to please welcome a very special guest from SRAG, Kendrick.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for that warm welcome. And here we go. It's a real honor to be here tonight to help Corinne and the Green Team from District 7020 make a little bit of Rotary history with this session. And I'm not ashamed, my Rotary Exchange year was 1967-68. I think that was before it was a legal Rotary-wide program. Tonight's session, I would like to share with you a little of Rotary's past involvement with the environment, to give us some context, a definition of environmental sustainability, which some days feels like holding a bowl of Jell-O on a warm day without the benefit of the bowl. We're going to look at how, in celebrating 75 years of Rotary's involvement with the United Nations, Rotary and SRAG and the UN program are all working together to do good work in Rotary and the UN. We're going to ponder the expanding opportunity for environmental sustainability as a possible area of focus and through projects. I'd like to introduce all of the presidents and others here tonight, President-elects, to the project drawdown as a source of inspiration for projects. A little bit about challenging your own individual choices. And finally, hopefully make the case that environmental engagement is essential to Rotary's future and the future of our planet. So the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group exists to help plan and implement service projects, which is kind of challenging because there's not quite yet an area of focus for the environment, so it's harder to fund them. We build awareness, we build global and local networks, which is why I had a call from Australia just before I came online with you. We inspire action for sustainable solutions, and more as Rotary International moves closer to re-embracing the environment. I've been on call occasionally. This is SRAG's position on environmental sustainability, that humans and the environment are intertwined, and therefore it's essential for Rotary to focus on supporting the well-being of planet Earth. In these days of COVID-19 and connecting its relationship to our current climate crisis and lack of environmental sustainability, that is more true than ever. So in 1990, Paulo Costa from Brazil initiated the Preserve Planet Earth program. And there are still districts and clubs within Rotary today that have that program ongoing since that time. It was a 3-year official pilot program approved by the board. Why is it not advancing? And these were his 5 original objectives: to promote better environmental awareness, to increase the number of environmental service projects, to make the environment trickle through all of Rotary service, not just environmental projects, but to ensure that every project had a sustainability component. To develop the worldwide image of Rotary as environmental advocates, and to find reputable environmental groups for partnerships. SRAG is doing all of that today. I was so astonished to read that the Rotary International Board adopted a resolution that said it was the job of every Rotarian to improve the environment and protect animals and plants from extinction. Passed in 1992 through the Council and Resolutions and part of Rotary's governing documents through 2010 when they initiated Future Visions. And that legacy didn't lie still for long. Ian Risley said, the environmental sustainability is and must be everyone's concern. And he asked us all to put that into action by planting a tree for every member. I imagine if I could look the eye of each president on this call, you would tell me that your club did more than plant 1 tree per member. SRAG was able to document at least 4.7 million trees, and I'm sure there are many we have yet to learn of. And of course, our own Barry Rassin, you saw his video tonight. He's made being inspired to address the environment a cornerstone of his work. And of course, he speaks from the heart. He's in the belly of the beast. Many of you are in your beautiful but close to the sea nations. And Barry Rassin and President Mark Maloney joined in supporting this cooperative effort between SRAG and United Nations Environmental Protection. Every year on June 5th, UN asks us to celebrate World Environment Day. We want to engage Rotary clubs in that celebration, and in support of that, we created this booklet, which is available for download on the SRAG website. And within a week, God willing, and the hurricanes don't come, there will be a Spanish language version, and the French version is not far behind. So what is environmental sustainability? Some stuff on the planet self-renews. Some resources are finite. For renewing resources, if you use them up faster than they can renew themselves, that's not sustainable and you have to change your behavior. If there is a finite supply of a resource, you must pace your use of it so that future generations can continue to access it. One of the resources we are in serious danger of outpacing is the very ability of the planet to absorb emissions of carbon dioxide. When we burn too many fossil fuels, the planet heats up. That behavior is not sustainable. I'm told you'll be able to look at this whole slide deck so you'll be able to access these resources after the call. Well, we're not the only group talking about sustainability. The UN, and when it set forth the Paris Agreement for Climate, also introduced the Sustainable Development Goals. 17 areas of action with some 163 milestones. Included are climate change, environmental degradation, because if you don't address them, you can't do much about poverty, inequality, and maintaining peace and justice. They're not separable. We must address them all. Now, I know that you're all familiar with the 6 areas of focus, and I could ask you all to unite them in unison with me, but I really want you to focus on the right side of the page. There are 6 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, that do not map to our 6 areas of focus in Rotary. Those are affordable and clean energy, sustainable cities and communities, responsible production and consumption, climate action, life below water, and life on land. We call these the Orphan Sustainable Development Goals because until Rotary has an area of focus for the environment, these goals don't have any place to go in our programming. Here's an example local to St. Thomas Island of a project in support of environmental, in support of the SDG of sustainable, renewable energy. So if we had an area of focus, what would we be able to do? The Rotary Foundation would be able to field a team of technical advisors. Peace Fellows would find it easier to pick the environment as their course of study. Arch Clump Society members could dedicate their gifts to the environment. Right now they can't. Staff members will be empowered to support initiatives relating to the environment. So often when I call, our loyal and overworked Rotary International staff said, well, but we don't have an area of focus for the environment, so I can't help you with that. I'm so sorry. And Rotary will be able to expand staff expertise to add an environmental sustainability officer and more. But as this is the year of opening doors for new opportunities, as we welcome a new area of focus for the environment, we're looking at project opportunities where your club will be able to get a simple calculator to learn what your club's carbon footprint is, look for ways to reduce it and offset it. You'll be able to turn to Project Drawdown to use as a solution-oriented guide to help you select projects. And we'll have the benefit from a new memorandum of understanding between SRAG and Project Drawdown, where we'll be creating learning materials designed for your Rotary community. So this is Drawdown. It was an effort by Paul Hawken, an important environmentalist and natural capitalist in the US. And he gathered the research from over 100 climate researchers around the world and created a catalog of 100 areas where you could work on projects to reduce carbon. They're all great projects for the environment. They also will have the effect of slowing emissions and reducing them. So this is the only graph in science I'm going to give you tonight. That black squiggly line going upward is the amount of carbon dioxide in the environment. And if you look before the graph starts, the measure was 312 parts per million the year I was born. The year that I realized that Rotary was where I wanted to do my work for climate, the monitor hit 400 parts per million 7 years ago, just this time. And when I prepared these slides for this talk, it's now at 416 parts per million. The ideal is 350 parts per million if we want to keep the climate in which our 10,000-year-old civilization has evolved. If we go above that, and we are above that now, too many of you have experienced firsthand the impacts. So the brave editorial staff of the Rotarian magazine did a great issue about climate solutions within our reach to, as Barry so ably said, open the conversation. And they included projects from Drawdown. So what exactly is Drawdown? That curve I showed you, our goal is not only to keep it from rising, our goal is to bend it down again, so that every year we are able to put in place tree planting projects, regenerative agriculture, and other strategies that actually absorb the legacy carbon as well as not putting more into the air. So here's a quick run through of some of the projects, and the most important thing we can do is manage refrigerants from our air conditioners, refrigerators, coolers. The Montreal Protocol took care of not allowing them to be made going forward, but there's a lot of them out there that were grandfathered in, and individual Rotary clubs were working on a project where each of you can help close the loophole. Onshore energy is great, and I know there's many opportunities for wind power throughout the Caribbean in your gentle tropical winds. Reducing food waste is really important. We can start with our own Rotary clubs. If you waste less food and switch to a plant-rich diet, you'll find that you will have more resilience and control of sustenance on your individual islands. Don't read the fine print. Look at the woman in the photo planting mangroves in the Caribbean. That's the cover of the SRAG handbook. An incredibly important strategy is helping young girls complete secondary school, educating women and girls, because they will lead their communities to sustainable lifestyles and greater resilience. With that paired with family planning, we will make a big difference in reducing population, and that's a silent problem. Whether you put your solar panels on a big solar farm or put them on local rooftop installations, solar is super important. And regenerative agriculture, where you farm in a way that puts carbon back into the soil and manages the other nutrients, that's a super important place to go. Doug White on our green team, this is his top list. And he would challenge each of you to grow your own top list for yourselves and your clubs, and then implement it. So this is a very special spot in the presentation for me. This picture was given to me by Salvador Rico, and he had to contact his 11 surviving brothers and sisters to get the permission to share the photo. It's a picture of the oldest sister of his family, who died of polio before he was born. I couldn't understand what drove Salvador so intensely to run so frantically from 5 in the morning till 11 at night, working on Rotary projects, in addition to running his mechanic shop in South Ukiah, California. And then he said, you know, the river where my sister swam was polluted, and she got polio in the sewage that she swam in, not knowing it was there. And my entire childhood, my mother would cry on my shoulder every night and tell me the anguish of making steaming towels to relieve the cramps in her legs, and how when she wasn't able to breathe, she passed away because a poor family in Guadalajara had no access to a life-saving iron lung. So when we think about why we do this work, we want to eradicate polio, but we want to eradicate the conditions on the planet that have allowed it to exist. And this inspired me, and I hope that it will inspire you. So as we enter a new year with a new Rotary president, he wants us to focus more on the environment. We want to make sure that we are building environmental protection and sustainability into our service clubs and into the very way that Rotary runs its operations, from your club to the top operation in Evanston. And how does the cause of the environment resonate with Rotarians? This was a graph that I adapted from the strategic survey Rotary took in 2017. Even then, the environment ranked slightly above polio eradication with its own members. But if you ask a Rotaractor, 32% say that an ideal organization for them to do their service would include the environment. And alumni of Rotary programs, like all those young people we invest in RILA and Interact and Rotaract, who then we don't manage to convert to Rotarians. The environment resonates much more highly with them than even some of our existing areas of focus. A story that inspired me last year was a young Rotary exchange student, Julia Kassel from France. She was really inspired by Greta Thunberg. Now, Greta Thunberg was the Swedish high school student, the activist, who started school strikes one Friday a month. And it has traveled around the world, and she's spoken to the United Nations in Davos. She is the face and voice of the next generation. And I happen to be honored to represent Rotary International in Poland at COP24. And she was a rock star there, and I thought, this teenager has no reason to speak to this grandma. But maybe I'll say hi to her dad, because I had an activist son, and I thought we might have something in common. And I fell in step with him, handed my card to him as he was rushing his daughter off to yet another media interview. And he looked down and he said, "Oh, Rotary. I was a Rotary youth exchange student." And I realized that our investment in youth impacts not only the direct recipients, but the children that we raise and the work that we do for the next generation for the rest of our lives. So I want to share with you the existence of an exciting new group. Julia Kassel was told by a director-elect of RI that she needed to start a Rotary Action group for climate. And not knowing any better, she went out and gathered in 3 weeks 600 names on social media from 35 countries of all of her fellow exchange students, interactors, and Rotaractors, and sent it off to Rotary headquarters. Whereupon they called SRAG. And now we are honored to host as one of our most exciting programs, the Climate Solution Coalition. And Natasha's going to be telling you more about that when she speaks. So this is the year when we would love to see every club in both of your districts have at least one member of SRAG. We would like every one of your clubs to have their own environment committee. We would love both of your districts to have environmental action chairs. Well, you've already got Corinne, I don't know. District 7030 will have a lot to do to catch up. But the words couldn't have been said better by one of our young members. Our planet is in a climate emergency, and Rotary is in a membership emergency. New generations will continue to avoid Rotary if environmental sustainability is not in our purview. Folks, it's your turn tonight to change that. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Karen. That was just so enlightening. I know all of our participants were engaged and listening and knowing that they've got to do something for the environment. And thank you so much for what you've done with SRAG over time. You've developed it into a very strong, one of our strongest Rotary action groups. So we greatly appreciate that. Thank you. And now to close us for our final speaker for the night on the environment, and then we'll open up for questions, is Natasha Parchment Clark. Natasha wears many hats. She's a mother, a wife, a sister, a business owner, environmentalist, and the one that keeps her busiest is her tiara, because she's the queen of youth services for 3 Rotary clubs in Montego Bay. She's been a member of the Rotary Club of Montego Bay for the last 10 years. She's a Paul Harris Fellow. She's past president, a member of SRAG, and youth coordinator for District 7020's Environmental Action Team. She spent 10 years in Rotary motivating and collaborating with Rotaract and Interact and Early Act in Montego Bay through many epic projects. Clearly another passionate person for the youth and for the environment. She's also director of training for her own Montego-based company, The Training Tree. So I ask you please to join me in welcoming Natasha from our own Montego Bay. Natasha.
Good evening, everyone. As the sun is setting outside, I'm a history-making Jamaican about to present on the environment in this forum for the president-elects who are all coming in for year 2021. Let me bring up my slides, please. This is so exciting and so timely, and all is good. Now, my first, can I just get a thumbs up? Can everybody see the slideshow?
Yep.
Great, thank you. I hope we all recognize that. What is that? Charles, what's that? Oh. There's no story behind it. It's an engagement ring. We all know that, or so we think. My niece posted this on her Instagram just last week. Now, I don't know what's happening. Is she engaged? Is she engaged twice? Is she engaged 4 times? There's even rings on the ring fingernail. The thing is, what we know as an engagement ring, this is how the youth see engagement. If we'd like to move forward, we really need to connect with our youth. We need to understand what's going on in their head, what's going on their crazy hands. The first thing I suggest highly to all of us Rotarians that are in the presentation this evening is that we connect by finding our commonalities. We were young once. We used to do the things that these Rotaractors, these interactors do. Find it and do it again. Ask questions, listen, laugh, do your research. I connect with my daughter who's in the Rotaract Club of University of the West Indies, West Jamaica campus by re-energizing their club, and she's in the picture there with the executives of that club. That's how I connect with my daughter and a whole group of other teenagers. Another thing I suggest is that we let them lead the way. You will be amazed at the energy, the pride, the amazing projects that young people have. This was the Early Act Club of Liceo Montessori. This photo was their idea, right? They will get together. I don't know if any of you've seen an 8-year-old in an Early Act Club meeting with a gavel. They have that meeting locked. Interactors are just, they can change the world. My daddy owns a hotel. We can all go there and spend the weekend, right? They think they can do anything, and they can. If there's a project, you know, there's nothing faster than an interactor who wants to inter-club with the girls' school next door, right? Let them lead. They'll come up with the ideas. All we need to do is guide and follow. So a few things I need to say about engaging with youth, ensuring that we find what they like as well as what we do as Rotarians and get the environment involved, is not to reinvent the wheel. Schools have various clubs. They have environment clubs, science clubs. They have themed curricula that they have to do these projects. Join in. We don't have to create that International Day. It's already there. There's different projects at schools. Rotaractors now, they work at different companies who have different foundations and company charities. Find out what their companies are doing, and then we can join in with them. So there's so many things that have been created already. We don't actually have that much work to do. We can just join in with something that's being done already. Now I have 2 examples of projects that are fully formed and running really well, that all we need to do is get the information for them, and they're so easy to do. Oh, sorry. In there. The first one is ROAR. It's presented by the Rotary E-Club of the Caribbean, and this is Rotaract Orators Addressing Rotary. And just Saturday gone, they partnered with the Rotaract District to ensure that whatever they're going to address this year for the ROAR project, that's actually going to be the video that Rotaract District uses to determine who gets their funding and who gets their grants. So this is an already completed project. You get an email and then you just support a Rotary Club in doing it. PICS is a wonderful Interact project that I just finished here in Montego Bay. One of our girls from Mobe High was one of the winning photos. It's a picture competition. All you do is get the word out to the interactors. Take the photos, you send it back to the E-Club of the Caribbean. They do everything else, present you with a winner. The Butterfly Storybook, one of my personal favorites. Who doesn't love to go to a school where a 7-year-old really thinks they're the next author? They write a story and then they get a certificate. They are so proud. They're going to be the next amazing author out there just from doing this project that's already formed. My Caribbean Sea is something that the Rotary Club of St. Thomas East, they have a project that's all fully formed. All you need to do is duplicate it. We're all in this meeting, 231 of us, reach out to each other. What do you do? What have you found successful? And people will come along and follow along with you. So my favorite project is an Icc Beach Cleanup. Now, in Montego Bay, I'm telling you, nobody does it better. Up to 8 sites with over 1,000 volunteers on the 3rd Saturday of every year, International Coastal Cleanup. It's a thing. It's not a Rotary thing, but hundreds of interactors, Rotaractors, families come along, and it's really easy to do. It's what I call the first project of a school-based club. It's the 3rd Saturday in September, and just a few pointers, things that you can do. Early in September, I'm going to leave you the pictures because they're more interesting. Early in September, go and visit the schools, do an assembly, you know, go and visit the clubs, the environment clubs, go and visit the science club. Invite every club. Don't just say only interactors. Our interactors are part of other clubs also. They're in student leadership. They're in the environment club. So all of these groups come along and have a great day. Identify your WIFM, what's in it for me. The picture where there's lots of red and blue shirts, that's what's in it for them. If you guys come early birds, get a t-shirt. And we give out 50 shirts, 100 shirts. If anybody sponsors, whichever club sponsors the shirts, we give them those shirts. They love it. Reusable water bottles. Another thing, create competitions. They're young, they love a competition. The school that can bring the most amount of students wins pizza. The club who brings everybody in their logo shirts will, you know, find out what they're interested in, make it into a competition. Be accessible and helpful, give information. Maybe they want to do their own site, so help them out to achieve that. Delegate to Rotarians and youth service members. Not everybody wants to pick up trash on the beach. We need to make sure we know that. So again, right in the center, actually, Zoe is a polio victim, and she's now a friend of Rotary. So she comes every beach cleanup and registers. So I have past retired doctors in Rotary who come and man the nurses station. I have hotel managers bring refreshments and man the food station. So everybody in the club can get involved so they feel a part of this day. Another thing I do, I appreciate and thank everybody for attending. Get them on the news. We had IRI FM, which is a really fantastic Jamaican radio station. We had the top DJ there, was down on the beach playing music and interviewing all the schools. It was so exciting. And then at the end, I thank everybody. I compile all the information, the details of the actual event, send them out to the schools, the clubs, the parents, the drivers, the companies who sponsored. Share all the information. This is the amount of things that we collected. Thank you so much for coming. And then you get ready to do it all again. But great times. This is just an easy project that's already happening. Anybody can do it. Another suggestion I have for all you PEs, SEs, all the incoming executives, add an environmental chair to your club. Add a committee that deals with environment. So every project you do, it has a green element to it. Add it to the 4-way test. Rotary Club of Montego Bay added it today. We have the 4-way test and the 5th, actually the 6th. The 5th is it fun? The 6th, is it green? Watch videos. David Attenborough's Our Planet. Put your hand up if you watch that. It's awesome. The walrus scene had me in tears. Invite speakers. We're Zooming now. Greta could be our speaker to a small club somewhere in the Caribbean. Also an environmentalist from a local program, a national agency, Jamaica Environment Trust, National Environment Planning Agency. Collaborate with them to make our clubs more green. And my famous calendar of events. We're going to put it on the SRAG site, and then Charles is going to find a way to get it to everyone who has been part of this this evening. So in my last 2 minutes, I just want to give you an example of easy things to do. What I have listed on the calendar are Rotary International dates, internationally acknowledged dates, Mother's Day, Father's Day, etc., and environmental dates. All you do is just look down. Oh, I fancy that. Give the calendars to your Interact clubs, to your Rotaract clubs. Let them choose something and you just go along. My engagement with Green and youth starts in July with a big pizza party. I invite the executive of all the Interact clubs in Montego Bay. Out we go, have pizza, go through the calendar, chat, and they start formulating what would they like to do. October is a great month. National Tree Planting Day on the 2nd. Children's Environmental Health Day on the 8th. 11th to 17th, Earth Science Week. 16th, World Food Day. You know, how easy would it be for us to partner with an Interact club and go down to the local homeless shelter and do a feeding day? That's already almost done for you on that calendar. So there's so many different ideas. Another great month, I love March. There's so many overlapping days. So International Women's Day on the 8th, Mother's Day. Why don't we choose an international woman who is an environmentalist, who also is a Rotarian? These are ways that we can just tie in the environment and young people with anything that we're doing throughout our Rotary year. It's trendy, it's great to be green, it keeps you young, it keeps you excited, and it's my pleasure to share the calendar. A lot of persons have been asking, they've heard about this calendar, and here it is. And it'll be a pleasure just for you to see the dates, and you can Google, there's a day for everything. There's Donut Day, there's Silver Hair Day. We try and find ones that are in keeping with Rotary so that we can enjoy them. So fellow Rotarians, Rotaractors, Interactors, my lovely club members from the Rotary Club of Montego Bay who are on this call. You know, it doesn't take much to be the queen of youth. I can dress up, I can put on my tiara, but also be Auntie Tasha, jumping around and doing things environmentally. So everyone stay green, farewell, and I look forward to seeing a really green year ahead for Rotary District 7020 and 7030. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natasha. That's some great practical ideas, projects that all of us could grasp and start to do. Very practical, and just take them to your clubs and make them happen. So I congratulate you. I thank you, Natasha, and thank you to all three of our speakers. And now we do have a few questions. First, I'll note that Karen has put a couple of comments on the chat box, one about the trustees coming to a vote, and the other about registering your beach cleanup. So those are opportunities. First, I'm going to start with a question for Karen. I'm told that the carbon dioxide levels have dropped due to the COVID-19 and the stopping of air travel and car travel and manufacturing. And I'm told anywhere between 15 and 45% drop in carbon levels. Is that true?
They have registered a temporary reduction in 2008 and 9 when the economy bottomed out, which it's not COVID that has caused us for the emissions to go down. It's the shutting down of the economies and the activities of daily living has caused it. When the economy shut down in 2008 and 9 and dropped off, emissions fell then too. But once the economy got cranking, we surged past that. And in a year, it was though it had not happened. The opportunity that we have to make sure that the reductions stay down is to decarbonize our economy. Don't get the energy that drives your industry from burning coal and oil, get it from renewable sources. Find different ways to travel. You know, we may not go back to the model of tens of thousands of people flying into one place for a meeting, because I could never have been your guest speaker tonight in person, but I got to come virtually. So it's how we restart our economy, and it's very unnerving that many places the folks leading the restart teams are the same people who have been running the oil and gas and coal industries around the world.
Okay, the next question I have is, how much damage does coal mining do to the environment? And do you have any statistics?
Well, it depends upon whether you're deep coal mining or strip mining. Coal mining currently in Australia is doing tremendous damage to the Great Barrier Reef, not from the extraction of coal, but the creation of a shipping port to send it out. They've actually sliced through the Great Barrier Reef to load the coal trucks, to load the coal tankers. Burning coal is like burning dirt. It belongs in the ground, not in the air and not in your lungs.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you. And maybe you could tell us a little about the Plastic Soup Project.
End Plastic Soup is an initiative started by our good friends in the Netherlands. And they have very aggressively brought attention to the problem of plastic in the ocean, not only the macroplastic that we can see, but the microplastics we can't see. The fact that the thought that you might be able to recycle plastic, so it's okay to drink your water out of a one-use water bottle or use a one-use straw because you can put it in the bin and someone else will clean up after you. That's kind of a myth. So End Plastic Soup wants people to work upstream. Rotarians like to not just put Band-Aids at the end of the pipe. I think Rotary may have started its intervention with polio in the early days when there wasn't a vaccine by providing crutches and iron lungs and rehab camps. But when we had a vaccine, Rotary wanted to work upstream and vaccinate to prevent polio. We need to take that same upstream prevention notion with plastics, and that's a really important part of End Plastic Soup. They have a special day on June 6th, the day after SREG has its World Environment Day webinar. So check them out. I can try to get you a link for the chat stream.
I think somebody put it on the chat stream already, actually.
Terrific.
Robert Jones put it on there, the End Plastic Soup. So that's great. Another question. Do you know of any clubs that are planning to urge their members to eat plant-based foods at their lunch or dinner meetings when we're able to meet in person again?
Corinne's got her hand up.
Okay, Corinne, go
Yes,
ahead.
hi. When we start meeting again, currently we do 2 speaker meetings a month when we gather in person. And one of those, we are planning to serve a plant-based meal. And it's delicious. We've been doing it already.
Okay.
Another great thing, if I may, on the calendar is November 1 is World Vegan Day. And I like to just suggest people try it out for one day. And in July, it's Plastic Free Month, which is another, it just brings awareness. I put a few competitions and challenges to get together for that month. Just brings an awareness of how much plastic you're actually using for that month. And what happens after the month, you start using less. So what the hope with the 1st of November, you know, even if all of us, the biggest steak eaters out there, or the Jamaican chicken nyamas, you know, if we just said, let's do it for one day, I'm sure we could try Meatless Mondays, which is an international program that persons do, and just slide it in.
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
your Rotary lunch meeting is 1 meal out of 21 a week. You can go vegan for 1 meal a week. And Natasha, there's a date that's not on your calendar on November 1st. As part of the original Preserve Planet Earth movement, November 1st was Rotary Ecology Day. And there were all kinds of mandates in the RI procedure manual about how we were going to celebrate Rotary Ecology Day. So we should pair the two. I think I'd rather have a good vegan meal than a rubber chicken plate any day.
I have to tell you, all my travels around the world the last 2 years, I never had a rubber chicken day. All good meals. Another question, with the virtual meetings being with us now, and they'll be with us for a while, would you recommend that this is a new normal which can save the environment?
Yes. I mean, SREG worked very closely with folks at the foundation and Mark Maloney. We were, as they like to say, this close to having an offset plan for everybody's air travel to Honolulu that would have allowed people to put some money in an offset fund and allow Rotary to own carbon offsetting projects to compensate for your airfare. But you know, it's better not to emit the carbon than to offset it. So there's balance to be found because Rotary runs on fellowship and face-to-face interactions and hands-on projects. And all of that is something that we're going to have to come to in a new way as we settle in with COVID. Because COVID's just the current pandemic. It's not the last pandemic because we aren't cleaning up our act fast enough.
Unfortunately, that's too true, yes.
Yeah.
Let's see, I have another question. I want to go to the question for the trustees, but I'm saving that till last because I'm going to answer it.
Oh, good. I'm off the hook.
Natasha, are you available to speak at clubs?
Whew. My calendar is full of club engagements from now till I think the middle of September. I'm a trainer. That's what I do for a business. So I actually do Zoom. I have started doing Zoom training. But whew, it's really, I've gotten a lot of invitations, and I do try to fit them in. So please email me and let's see what I can do. If this is
Good.
recorded, I suggested to somebody 5 minutes before we started, I'm like, quick, register, get in, and you'll hear everything that you just asked. And if it's recorded, then that little segment, perhaps. But
This
I
is
am
recorded.
available.
Thank you, appreciate that. I'd also just refer you to the chat box for a comment that Robert Judd made. Rather than read it to you, you could read it for yourself, but it gives you some details about beach cleanup, and there's an app you can just take a picture and you can post it. There's an app that you actually can put it into a central base, so everybody knows what's going on your beaches. So
And that's for Rotary zones, our 2 Rotaries. I'll talk to Robert.
Yeah,
I love the look of that. Thank you.
There's also the Clean Swell app that SRAG has an unofficial partnership with Ocean Conservancy. If you download the app, register your cleanup, whether it's a big cleanup or your own personal trash picking walk, on their app, and say the word Rotary, we get the statistics back on that for SRAG, and it's really valuable to have the data coming in from around the world.
Yep, so please share that. That's really can be very valuable for us moving forward. And yes, the calendar will be shared on both District 7020 and 7030 websites. So they will be there. You got them. So let me go into the last question, and then I'll turn to DGE Lyle to close us out. It's really 2 questions in one. One from Jalim: why not an area of focus if Rotary sees the importance of the environment? And kind of ties into that, does the environment integrate with the other existing areas of focus? From Michael Terrellon. So, okay, let me give you a little background. The trustees talked last year, what do we do with the environment? And we went out to the world and you see the statistics, and 23% said this is an important factor. That's Rotarians, not Rotaractors. They're going to be higher. Young people understand environment much better, and they're very keen to be part of an organization that supports environmental projects and improvement. So their first movement was to say, you can do environmental projects within any one of the 6 areas of focus, because you can tie them in. It's the way you word it, it's the way you integrate it. So yeah, they can be integrated with the areas of focus. But this Rotary year, the Rotary Foundation had a discussion again, and they appointed a task force of the trustees to determine how should the environment be recognized by the Rotary Foundation. Is it an area of focus? Is it just part of another area of focus or more? And that task force has made a recommendation, and that will go to the trustees next month, and the trustees will vote. And I can't tell you any more than that. But let me just make sure, and you should be rest assured that the trustees appreciate that the Rotary world, the Rotaract world, see the need for us to support environmental programs. And I think you're going to see a change in how the Rotary Foundation deals with environmental programs going forward. And I believe you'll be pleased with that. So that's all good news. Wait till next month and you'll get the final information about that. So I'm going to go ahead and close. We do have a couple other questions, but I think they're pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and call on our district governor-elect from District 7030, DGE Lyle. If you could please close us out.
Thank you very much, Barry. Corinne, Karen, Natasha, fellow Rotarians, Rotaractors, DG Charles, my buddy, and any past district governors that I haven't seen, but I've seen David Edwards, I've seen Felix Stubbs. What a fantastic presentation or presentations we've had tonight. We've heard about the environment, and we've heard about how we've tied our youth in. And what better way to make sure that we have a future, because it is our youth who will be more excited than we are, who are going to drive this program. And I think that is outstanding. When I got the ping yesterday or whatever from Barry or Charles, I decided to go and start to research, environment. Let's have a look at this thing. But there's no point in me saying anything here about it because you guys have covered every single point that I have to make. The one thing that I would like to bring in that nobody did bring in was, if those of us who were in Hamburg, remember there was a project on bees. Now, every single thing ties together in protecting our environment. And bees are such a crucial part of the food chain. So I would encourage us, because it's not that difficult to do, if we're going to be eating plant-based food, Corinne, we're going to need to make sure that those plants grow. And therefore, we need to make sure that our bees are healthy in our environment. 70-30 is a little bit behind 70-20, but I would like to assure you that we're taking the environment very seriously. I have appointed a chair for next year in the person of Matt Render, who is also he is the host of the ambassador cohort. There's a virtual summit, island summit, taking place in St. Lucia in September, and Matt is very much into the environment. So much so that our conference in 2021 is going to be totally green. We've already agreed no plastics, right? We've already agreed no paper. So we are working on our app for our conference. So, ladies and gentlemen, without taking you too long, because I know it's late, I would say that together, 70-20 and 70-30 have shown that they are awesome. And we are two districts to be reckoned with. And so together, let us take action to create lasting change in the environment. I am sitting here, Barry, and I have my fingers crossed, all of them, that the Rotary trustees will agree that the environment deserves its rightful place as a separate area of focus. I truly believe that it has earned it. So while we open the doors of opportunity and look through, let us ever be mindful of those projects that we can take part in that are going to preserve Mother Earth and protect our futures. And with that, Barry, I hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Lyle, so much. We are so lucky in District 7020 and 7030. You hear the two district governors that are coming in to lead us. The Caribbean region, we are strong. And I am so proud of Rotary in this part of the world. We do fantastic stuff. So thank you, Lyle. Thank you, Charles, Natasha, Karen, Corinne. Really appreciate your bringing the environment to the center focus. And like I said, wait for the news next month. Yeah, I think you'll be happy. Fortunately, I get to sit at the table, so they do have my opinion for what that's worth. So thank you all for coming tonight. Make sure you check your schedule so you're back here for the next one. We will continue. There's not much left. We want to make sure you're ready to be president, secretary, treasurer, and member of Rotary so that we can have the best year that we've ever had. We're going to show the Rotary world, yeah, maybe some districts are going to drop in membership, not 7020 and 7030. We're going to show the world how it's done. So I thank you all for your commitment, your dedication, and what you do to make our world a better place. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.